All right. One more. Let's see. Where am I? Wow. It took that long to get right there. Okay. The obedience of all degrees proved by God's word, and first of children unto their elders. God, which worketh all in all things for a secret judgment and purpose, and for his godly pleasure, provided an hour that thy father and mother should come together to make thee through them. He was present with thee in thy mother's womb, and fashioned thee, and breathed life into thee, and for the great love he had unto thee, provided milk in thy mother's breasts for thee against thou were born, moved also thy father and mother, and all others to love thee, to pity thee, and to care for thee. As he made thee through them, so hath he cast thee under the power and authority of them, to obey and serve them in his stead, saying, Honor thy father and mother. Exodus 20. One is not to be understood in bowing the knee and putting off the cap only, but thou love them with all thine heart, and fear and dread them, and wait on their commandments, and seek their worship, pleasure, will, and profit in all things, and give thy life for them, counting them worthy of all honor, remembering that thou art their good and possession, and that thou owest unto them thine own self, and all thou art able, yea, and more than thou art able to do. Yikes. Understand also that whatsoever thou dost unto them, be it good or bad, thou dost unto God. When thou pleasest them, thou pleasest God. When thou displeasest them, thou displeasest God. When they are angry with thee, God is angry with thee. Neither is it possible for thee to come to the favor of God again. No, through all the angels of heaven pray for thee, until thou hadst submitted thyself unto the father and mother again. If thou obey, though it be but carnally, either for fear or for vainglory or profit, thy blessing shall be long life upon the earth. For he saith, Honor thy father and mother, that thou mayest live long upon the earth. Exodus 20. Contrariwise, if thou disobey them, thy life shall be shortened upon the earth. All right. For it followeth, Exodus 21, he that smiteth his father or mother shall be put to death for it, and he that curseth, that is to say, raileth or dishonoreth his father or mother with opprobrious words, shall be slain for it. And Deuteronomy 21, if any man have a son stubborn and disobedient, which hearketh not the voice of his father and the voice of his mother, so that they taught him nurture and regarded them not, then let his father and mother take him and bring him forth unto the seniors or elders of the city, and unto the gate of the same place. And let them say unto the seniors of that city, This is our son, is stubborn and disobedient. He will not hearken unto our voice. He is a rioter and a drunkard. Then let all the men of the city stone him with stones until death. So shall ye put away wickedness from among you, and all Israel shall hear and shall fear. And though that the temporal officers to their own damnation be negligent in punishing such disobedience as the spiritual officers are to teach, and wink at it or look on it through the fingers, yet shall they not escape unpunished. For the vengeance of God shall accompany them, as thou mayest see Deuteronomy 28, with all misfortune and evil luck, and shall not depart from them until they be murdered, drowned, or hanged. Either until by one mischance or another they be utterly brought to naught. Yea, and the world oftentimes hangeth many a man for that they never deserved. But God hangeth them because they would not obey and hearken unto their elders, as the consciences of many well find when they come unto the gallows. There can they preach and teach others that which they themselves would not learn in season. The marriage also of the children pertaineth unto their elders, as thou mayest see 1 Corinthians 7, and throughout all the scripture by the authority of the said commandment, child, obey father and mother, which thing which thing the heathen and Gentiles have ever kept, and to this day keep, to the great shame and rebuke of us Christians. Inasmuch as the weddings of our virgins, shame it is to speak, are more like to the saute of a bitch than the marrying of a reasonable creature. Okay, I don't even know what the hell that means. See not we daily 3 or 4 challenging one woman before the commissary or official, of which not one hath the consent of her father or mother. And yet he that hath most money hath best right, and shall have her in the despite of all her friends, and in defiance of God's ordinances. Moreover, when she is given by the judge unto the one party, and also married, even then oftentimes shall the contrary party sue before a higher judge, or another that succeeded the same, for money divorce her again. So shamefully doth the covetousness and ambition of our prelates mock with the laws of God. I pass over with silence how many years they will prolong the sentence with cavilitions and subtlety, if they be well moneyed on both parties. And if a damsel promise to, how shameful counsel they will give the second, and also how the religious of Satan do separate unseparable matrimony. For after thou art lawfully married at the commandment of father and mother, and with the consent of all thy friends, yet if thou wilt be disguised like unto one of them, and swear obedience unto their traditions, thou mayest disobey father and mother, break the oath which thou hast sworn to God before his holy congregation, and withdraw love and charity, the highest of God's commandments, and that duty and service which thou owest unto thy wife, thereof Christ cannot dispense with thee. For Christ is not against God, but with God, and came not to break God's ordinances, but to fulfill them. That is, he came to overcome thee with kindness, and to make thee to do of very love, and the thing which the law compelleth thee to do, for love only, and to do service unto thy neighbor, is the fulfilling of the law in the sight of God. To be a monk or a friar, thou mayest thus forsake thy wife before thou hast slain. Did I read this? There's no way. No. I'm sorry. I thought I already read this. And yet after thou art professed, the Pope for money will dispense. Let me start that over. I'm sorry. Yeah, it just hit me like I've read it before. Oh, anyways. That is, he came to overcome thee with kindness, and to make thee to do of very love the thing which the law compelleth thee to do, for love only, and to do service unto thy neighbor, is the fulfilling of the law in the sight of God. To be a monk or friar, thou mayest thus forsake thy wife before thou hast lain with her, but not to be a secular priest. And yet after thou art professed, the Pope for money will dispense with thee, both for thy coat and all thy obedience, and make a secular priest of thee. Likewise, as it is simony to sell a benefice, as they call it, but to resign upon a pension, and then to redeem the same, is no simony at all. O crafty jugglers and mockers with the word of God. Woo! The obedience of wives unto their husbands. Ooh, it looks like he's going through all the people. Damn. We've got wives to their husbands, servants unto their masters, subjects unto kings, princes, and rulers. What else we got? Against the Pope's false power. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Oh yeah, this is a good read. Where was I? Yes. The obedience of wives unto their husbands. After that Eve was decreed of the serpent, God said unto her, Genesis 3, thy lust or appetite shall pertain unto thy husband, and he shall rule thee or reign over thee. God, which created the woman, knoweth what is in that weak vessel, as Peter calleth her, and hath therefore put her under the obedience of her husband to rule her lusts and wanton appetites. 1 Peter 3 exhorteth wives to be in the subjection to their husbands after the ensample of the holy women which in old time trusted in God, and as Sarah obeyed Abraham and called him Lord, which Sarah before she was married was Abraham's sister and equal with him, but as soon as she was married was in subjection and became without comparison inferior. For so is the nature of wedlock by the ordinance of God. It were much better that our wives follow the ensample of the holy women of old time in obeying their husbands than to worship them with a paternoster, an Ave and a credo, or to stick up candles before their images. Paul saith, Women, submit yourselves to your own husbands, 5, as to the Lord, for the husband is the wife's head, even as Christ is the head of the congregation. Therefore, as the congregation in the subjection to Christ, likewise let wives be in subjection unto their husbands in all things. Let the women therefore fear the husband, as Paul saith in the said place. For her husband is unto her in the stead of God, that she obey him and wait on his commandments, and his commandments are God's commandments. If she therefore grudge against him or resist him, she grudges against God and resisteth God. I'm going to have to save that card. I don't think I'm going to pull that card out on my wife. That seems like a heavy card to throw at her. We're just going to keep it the way it is. Jesus Christ. The obedience of servants unto their masters. Servants, obey your cardinal masters with fear and trembling in singleness of your hearts unto Christ, not with service in the eyesight of men pleasers, but as the servants of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart, with good will, even as though ye serve the Lord and not men. Eph 6 and 1 Peter 2. Servants, obey your masters with all fear, not only if they be good and courteous, but also though they be froward. For it cometh of grace, if a man for conscience towards God endure grief, suffering wrongfully. For what praise is it, if when ye be buffeted for your faults, ye take it patiently? But, and if, when ye do well, ye suffer wrong and take it patiently, then is there thanks with God. Hereunto verily were ye called, for Christ also suffered for our sakes, leaving us an ensample to follow his steps, in whatsoever kind. Therefore thou art a servant during the time of thy covenants, thy master is unto thee in the stead and room of God. And God through him feedeth thee, clotheth thee, ruleth thee, and learneth thee. His commandments are God's commandments, and thou oughtest to obey him as God, and in all things to seek his pleasure and profit. For thou art his good in possession, as his ox and his horse, insomuch that whosoever doth but desire thee in his heart from him, without his love and license, is condemned of God. Which saith Exodus 20, See thou once covet not thy neighbor's servants. Paul the apostle sent home Onesimus unto his master, as thou readest in the epistle of Paul to Philemon. And so much that, though the said Philemon with his servant also was converted by Paul, and owed to Paul and to the word that Paul preached, not his servant only, but also himself, yea, and though that Paul was in necessity and lacked ministers to minister unto him in the bonds which he suffered for the gospel's sake, yet would he not retain the servant, necessary unto the furtherance of the gospel without the consent of the master. Oh, how sore differeth the doctrine of Christ and his apostles from the doctrine of the Pope and of his apostles. For if any man will obey neither father nor mother, neither lord nor master, neither king nor prince, the same it needeth, but only to take the mark of the beast, that is, to shave himself, a monk, a friar, or a priest, and then immediately free and exempt from all service and obedience due unto man. He that will obey no man, as they will not, is most acceptable unto them. The more disobedient that thou art unto God's ordinances, the more apt and meet art thou for theirs. Neither is the professing, vowing, and swearing obedience unto their ordinances any other thing than the defying, denying, and forswearing obedience unto the ordinance of God. You get that? I know. Me neither. Kinda. The obedience of subjects unto kings, princes, and rulers. Let every soul submit himself unto the authority of the higher powers. There is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power resisteth the ordinance of God. They that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not to be feared for good works, but for evil. Wilt thou be without fear of the power? Do well then, and so halt thou be praised of the same. For he is the minister of God for thy wealth. And if thou do evil, then fear. For he beareth not a sword for naught, for he is the minister of God to take vengeance on them that do evil. Wherefore ye must needs obey, not for fear of vengeance only, but also because of conscience. Even for this cause pay ye tribute, for they are God's ministers serving for the same purpose. Give to every man therefore his duty, tribute to whom tribute belongeth, custom to whom custom is due, fear to whom fear belongeth, honor to whom honor pertaineth. Owe nothing to any man, but to love one another, for he that loveth another fulfilleth the law. For these commandments, thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not desire, and so forth. If there be any other commandment, are all comprehended in this saying, love thy neighbor as thyself. Love hurteth not his neighbor, therefore is love the fulfilling of the law. As a father over his children is both Lord and judge, forbidding one brother to avenge himself on another, but if any cause of strife be between them, will have it brought unto himself or his assigns to be judged and corrected. So God forbiddeth all men to avenge themselves, and taketh the authority and office of avenging unto himself, saying, Vengeance is mine, and I will reward. Deuteronomy 32. Which text Paul allegeth, Rome 12. For it is impossible that a man should be righteous, an eagle, or an indifferent judge in his own cause. Lusts and appetites so blind us. Moreover, when thou avengest thyself, thou makest no peace, but stirrest up more debate. God therefore hath given laws unto all nations, and in all lands hath put kings, governors, and rulers in his own stead, to rule the world through them, and hath commanded all causes to be brought before them. As thou readest Exodus 22, in all causes, saith he, of injury or wrong, whether it be ox, ass, sheep, or vesture, or any lost thing which another challengeth, let the cause of both parties be brought unto the gods, whom the gods condemn. The same shall pay double unto his neighbor. Mark, the judges are called gods in the scriptures because they are in God's room and execute the commandments of God. And in another place of the said chapter, Moses charges, saying, See that thou rail not on the gods, neither speak evil of the ruler of thy people. Whosoever therefore resisteth them resisteth God, for they are in the room of God, and they that resist shall receive the damnation. Such obedience unto father and mother, master, husband, emperor, king, lords, and rulers requireth God of all nations, yea, of the very Turks and infidels. The blessing and reward of them that keep them is the life of this world, as thou readest Leviticus 18. Keep my ordinances and laws, which a man keep, he shall live therein. Which text Paul rehearseth Rome 10, proving thereby that the righteousness of the law is but worldly, and the reward thereof is the life of this world. And the curse of them that breaketh them is the loss of this life, as thou seest by the punishment appointed for them. And whosoever keepeth the law, whether it be for fear, for vainglory, or profit, though no man reward him, yet shall God bless him abundantly and send him worldly prosperity, as thou readest Deuteronomy 28, what good blessings accompany the keeping of the law, and as we see the Turks far exceed as Christian men in worldly prosperity for their just keeping of their temporal laws. Likewise, though no man punish the breakers of the law, yet shall God send his curses upon them till they be utterly brought to naught, as thou readest most terribly even in the same place. Neither may the inferior person avenge himself upon the superior, or violently resist him. For whatsoever wrong it be, if he do, he is condemned in the deed doing, inasmuch as he taketh upon him that which belongeth to God only, which saith, Vengeance is mine, and I will reward. Dudes, 32. Christ says, Matt 26, all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Takest thou a sword to avenge thyself, so giveth thou not room unto God to avenge thee, but robbest him of his most high honor, and thou wilt not let him be judge over thee. Woo. That's intense. If any man might have avenged himself upon his superior, that might David most righteously have done upon King Saul, which so wrongfully persecuted David, even for no other cause than that God had anointed him king and promised him the kingdom, yet when God had delivered Saul into the hands of David, that he might have done what he would with him, as thou seest in the first book of Kings, the 24th chapter, how Saul came into the camp where David was, and David came to him secretly and cut off a piece of his garment. As soon as he had done it, his heart smote him, because he had done so much unto his Lord. And when his men encouraged him to slay him, he answered, The Lord forbid it me that I should lay my hand on him. Neither suffered he his men to hurt him. When Saul was gone out, David followed him and shewed him the piece of his garment, and said, Why believest thou the words of men that say, David go about and do thee harm? Perceive and see that there is neither evil nor wickedness in my hand, and that I have not trespassed against thee, and yet thou layest a wait for my judge. God, judge between thee and me, and avenge me of thee, but mine hand be not upon thee. As the old proverb saith David, out of the wicked shall wickedness proceed, but mine hand be not upon thee, meaning that God ever punisheth one wicked by another. And again said David, Go be judge and judge between thee and me, and behold and plead my cause, and give me judgment or right of thee. Yeah. That's it.